Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us in another one of our Access for webinars. We're going to talk today about what has been launched recently this last quarter. And joining me, I have Mitch Davis, one of our senior solution consultants, who'll be helping me out today.
Nice to be here again.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. If you've been using SASBOSS in the last few weeks, you'll actually know quite a bit about some of these launches already. We're going to go through everything that's changed at a high level in today. So the first one, which went out in early March, was the DID inventory and reseller area updates. Then we're going to go into some of the things that changed more recently. So the engineering toolbox and its new tools, and then some changes to PRC and the launch of InfoBoss. So you want to take us through into SASBOSS first?
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so the first one's actually been out for a bit over a month now, and it's the DID inventory updates. Now, you'll be familiar with these. This is SASBOSS 2.0 updates we've been rolling out across SASBOSS. We did most recently porting orders, and now we're finishing off that area with the DID inventory. So it'll look quite familiar to you. Everything is still there as it was. It's updated to the 2.0 design, and we have just a few UX improvements as well. So for example, on the menu to the right there, previously only the options that you could click were available at the time. It was creating some confusion between partners of why that wasn't there. It was there before. Now we've got them showing, but if they are invalid to use, they're just marked as invalid, and they explain why. So when you change between a status type for a DID, you can then see all the options and why they're not there. So easier to navigate and understand what's going on, basically.
This is very much so just a nice that wasn't there previously, and being able to see why options are grayed out, or previously they just weren't there at all. So having them here and having the explanation of why they're grayed out and why you can't do that action, it's just so much nicer from that perspective.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's a number of different updates that you can probably find as little Easter eggs across this page. We're not going to go into all of them today. But again, as always, about 2.0 updates, it's all about navigation, being able to read the information easier and interact easier. So across the top, the request new IDs, the create porting requests, all of those have been updated to the 2.0 modals, which again are easier to input and take away some of the information you don't always need right at the front. All right. New Reseller Area. So this is a much more of a major launch. So coming into your Reseller Area, before it was a single modal that popped up in your screen. It had very limited information. This was really about bringing the things that are used most by resellers and bringing it to a bit of a hub. So similar to how the customer area now has the customer management information, but it has all the services and the groups and the DIDs and devices. They've done the same thing from the reseller perspective. So bringing it down to the front. I do want to point out on this page, so if you are a direct reseller, you would normally see this page and you only have one row there. We've removed that extra click of having to go through and open your own. So you would only see the listing page now if you have agencies or sub resellers of your own. So in this case, we're using our channel as our example, and there's a couple of agencies in there. But if you were to only be your own reseller, it would go straight through to, Mitch will click on it. It will go straight through. You're doing great. It will go straight through to here. So click on the resellers on the left-hand menu, take you straight to this place, and you can see all of your relevant information. Now, this information does change based on your role type. So, for example, Mitch is logged in, I presume, as a reseller super admin.
Correct. Yeah.
So right here, you're seeing all your invoice information, and there's a number of monetary information here. That's not visible to all users, only if you have the previous access to see that in the invoices area of SASBOSS already. So no visibility has changed. It's just different tiles you can see at the top. So why we have this here is so it's just a quick lookup for your information. You can see what's relevant to you at the start. So that's your invoices. In the middle, it's your PGM PSM. For our channel, it's a developer. It's their role, so that's picking that up and bringing that through. But that would be, again, your PGM PSM with that information, so it's easy to find and access to contact them. And then the third tile on the right there is just a quick look at how many customers, services, and user logins you have for the resale. And clicking those will take you directly to those pages. So if you clicked, let's say, the customers one, it'll take you directly to your customers and you'll see them all there as a quick navigation point. All right. So going down the page, all your other information is still there. So the about yourself, the primary contact, and then your retail billing information. Again, the same controls that you had before. So those who could edit before can edit now. No one else has been given additional permissions. That the role type that Mitch is mimicking here is the top level permission, so they get all the access. That's why you're seeing everything. All right, so what have we brought in as additional features? So we've got the logins. So that's your logins for your reseller and to access for. So for our channel, there are 49 logins, which 18 are active and 31 are inactive. Again, this is kind of a testing place for us, so it will look a little funny, but you can see all the logins down the bottom in the table as it was before with the create login button there, which has been streamlined and smoothed. So again, a much easier way to access your logins before it was hidden in a bit deeper menus cycle. So that's new. The other thing I do want to call out, which came out at a slightly different time, but was just as important, if you scroll it down, Mitch, to the bottom, for notification preferences. So previously, we only had unscheduled and scheduled outage and maintenance notifications where you could opt in from either email or SMS. Now we have also introduced the toll for notifications here. So a bit of feedback that too many people were receiving the toll for notifications. We want it to go directly to the right person. Now, so this is the default for creating a login. In this case, it's SMS and email are both selected as to opt in for here, but you could change that in your settings, and then all of your logins would be created under those defaults. So a bit more control here in terms of who can and can't see toll for notifications to make it a bit easier for you. So that's a nice one there I want to call out. Moving along to default customer settings. Now, these are, I want to specify what this means. These are the default settings when you create a new customer that they would have unless you override them. So in this case, for example, toll fraud, you can do toll fraud for calls or SMS. This is set up so it's a monthly period and it's $200.
Yep.
And it's only applied to international calls only, and you get notifications at 50, 80, 100% of that top, and then you can say who receives that information. So this is what would be set to all your customers that get created from this point on once you save these settings. It does not override your existing customers.
Correct. And you can still change it once you create the customer as well. If you do have a customer who may make a lot more international calls or something along those lines, you can modify it still at a customer level.
Exactly. We do get a few questions about that and what this means. This is just setting what would be default created for your customer. And you can do it for calls. You can do it for SMS as well, just a little bit lower. And the other one we've brought out, and so these are really around security and protection for your customers, international call barring. So this is allowing and not allowing calls to go out to high risk or other countries by country code. So you can set, so this is the high risk section. And so at the moment, they're all enabled.
You also have a common list as well.
Yeah, and then you can see, so none of the blocked, none of them are blocked, but you could go through and you could change to block all. And so we generally recommend for the high risk that you by default have them all blocked. There generally isn't a lot of need for those to be unblocked, and you're just opening yourself up to a higher risk of toll fraud, which is currently a scam going around at the moment. So we're going to make sure that people are aware of these things and set your defaults so that you're protecting your customers and yourselves as much as possible. So again, bringing those security ones to the front, because again, they were deeper in a menu. And then moving to the right, the last one we've added here is communications. So there is generally a bit of confusion around communications,
Yep.
of what this means in SASBOSS, because you have primary contacts, group contacts, you have notifications that go out to your customers from SASBOSS itself. So this is making that a lot easier. Maybe do you want to go through contacts here?
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different things, sections in here, and this was something that some of these were hidden away previously, and you would actually have to reach out to us to get that information, and they were usually ones that were set up when you first came on as a reseller. So you'd set it then, forget about it, and no one would ever look at it again, and then you ask, what email address are we sending voicemails from? That was quite common. Others were in here, but there was similar terminology used in multiple places, and then there's just been a few added as well in here. So you still get your primary contact. So who's going to be the primary person inside your organization who gets contacted? For us, it's Tim. Probably wouldn't be the main person we'd be having people contact us for, but it was when we started launching Access 4. So we scroll down, you do get your other primary contacts, and this is where you can set your provisioning contact, your sales contacts for the different departments within your organization. And I believe a relatively new one that we added was splitting out accounts.
Correct.
So that was happened a couple months ago, was it? Or was this the launch of this?
It happened before we launched this. It did come out a couple of months ago.
Yep.
And that was, again, based on a bit of feedback of people generally, if you're a big organization, you want to split out your accounts receivable and accounts payable because they have different things going to each one, and you want to separate them out.
Exactly. So you now have both options in here, and they can be sent to different locations as you need to. Within this as well, do get a few more options down left-hand side. So you do get your group contacts in here. So being able to provide more details around all of those different sections as well. This is also where you're provisioning contacts and sending out those notifications from this side as well. Preferences is those same settings that we had earlier, and being able to set up the defaults for these as well. So as Anne mentioned, you can set up the default around people receiving those toll fraud notifications and things like that. This is those defaults for when you create a new login for your organization. So if you don't want them to receive those notifications, you can turn those off for anyone you need to, and then save those using new defaults. And then last one down here is platform contacts. So these are the ones I mentioned earlier that were hidden away previously. We don't have any set apparently in our default one. So, but this is where things like your SMS gateway emails being sent to your your voicemail and your fax as well. So this is the emails address from your organization usually that we're using from an outbound perspective for those use cases.
And it's important as a powered by a white label partner to have these registered under the DKIM list.
Exactly. Yes. So that was our last webinar that we ran through 3 months ago, or 4 months ago.
Ooh, yeah, even longer.
Back in December, I believe it was. So we launched that back then. If you do want to know more about that, reach out to your PGM, PSM, or your solution consultant. We can run through those with you as well, and talk about how we can help configure your DKIM records so that emails aren't going to spam as well. With these settings, these are the ones that still need to be changed by our support team. So if you look at these settings and you do want to change because it's the wrong email address or something like that, or you've changed domains over the years and you've realized you want to update it.
Gmail accounts, any of that.
100%. So anything like that, you want to update these platform contacts, you do still have to log a support case with us, and we will get that updated for you. Anything I missed about the contact?
No, you got it.
Perfect.
No, you got it. That's it. So exactly. So again, these were in the menu, and some of these were actually individual items in the menu, making the menu really, really long, and it's not consolidated in one place. So again, making it easy for you to access, easy for you to update. With the notification preferences, again, you can set your defaults for any kind of login that gets created for you, as you mentioned before. And then as Mitch mentioned, the platform contacts, those are the ones that are set during your onboarding, and you can change them through a tag ticket. So it gives you visibility of that. So I really recommend going in today or this week and check what you have in there. Is it what you actually think there is there, and do you need to update them? Exactly. Brilliant.
There is the previous settings that we had as well. They're still here under the drop down or under the 3 buttons. So if you do need to access those as well, so there's your domains for your customers and that level of configuration, your device orders, things like that, you still can have that access within here and still manage them through your reseller portal as well.
Isn't the menu nicer? It's so much shorter. Makes me happy. All right. Brilliant. All right. So that's the Reseller Area. If you do have any questions about any of these areas that we're going through, please feel free to put them in the QA chat. We'll be able to get to them either at the end of the session or we'll get back to you soon. So that's things have been launched last month and before. Let's move into what happened last week.
Yes.
So engineering toolbox is a new area. So to find it, left-hand menu, it's where support was. Now support is split into support where you can lodge your tickets and the toolbox itself.
Yep.
Now the toolbox is a brainchild of Stan, the engineering team, and working with the platform team to bring you advanced troubleshooting tools that we use internally so that you can have access to them. So it's launched at the moment with 2 tools. A third tool is coming very, very soon. In fact, I think Stan will actually be launching that for tomorrow. So I can get up at the New Zealand Roadshow and present a third tool, which I'm very excited about. But these are the first 2. and we will continue to grow the toolbox over time. So there'll be a third tool coming out, and then what is driving this is the requests that we get. So we want to make these tools available to you for the most common cases that you have, so that you don't have to call into Access for every single time. You can solve it much faster for the customer yourself. So, yeah. All right. The first tool is and I will not take any credit for naming these. Stan likes to give me tongue twisters to say. So it is the UCXL Call Flow Flaw Detective. I need to find a better acronym for that one. But that one it's all about finding the calls that failed to forward under UCXL. So UCXL only at the moment. And what this looks like is when you call a business and you get transferred or put on hold and you end up in someone's voicemail or disconnected, and you have to call back, and it's very frustrating an experience. Why these are really important to have as a tool here is because it's really hard to find them. They don't show up in CDRs as an error. They show as a call that went through and looks correct. It's not showing anything. And customers often don't record and let you know about these sorts of issues.
Customers also don't quite often know that these even occurred. So if it's a calls come through, they've rung someone's DID directly, it doesn't answer, and it looks like it went to their voicemail from an end user perspective. That's where it seems like it went to when a call didn't go through. If voicemail is not enabled, that call didn't actually go to their voicemail. It didn't fall over to someone else in the organization or anything like that. That call just got disconnected. So it's those little things that end customers may not even realize is an issue as well. It can also help with that situation.
Yeah. So exactly as Mitch said, when the customer calls up and says it's not, does flag this, or if you do come in and see it's usually because someone has removed a service and didn't realize it was connected to something else as well. So something that was meant to forward to somewhere now has been removed, so it ends up going to a different setting. So what this tool does is that you can select, so a customer may report it, or you can proactively go in here and pick either dates and a customer, or just dates or just a customer, and then you can click submit, and it will then show you all the different calls that had this failed to forward issue for that time period. You went way too far in the past.
Apparently I did.
You need to select some dates. Sorry. Yeah, I'll do. It's been quite recent.
Apparently I went too far back.
Yeah. So don't do more than 30 days in the past. So recommend coming in here regularly, but once you find them, there tends not to be too many that come up very often. So in this case, this is our channel, and I believe this is probably some SDs having fun in the background and playing.
This is actually our TAC team, wasn't even us.
Oh, it's your TAC team. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing here is, so there are a number of calls here, and they failed to redirect to *55. Basically, it's highlighting the calls that had the issue, the username where it was forwarded, so you find the service, and then you can update these settings to solve the problem.
Exactly. So the nice thing about this is you can see exactly which service it was. So you can jump on there, you can see where it was trying to send it to. So in this case, voicemail, and if voicemail is not enabled or something along those lines, that's when you're going to get this issue. So it's an easy way of being able to see exactly what that is. You can also see from this example, we didn't select a customer. We just looked at every customer we had in our ecosystem in that time frame of 2-3 weeks, whatever we looked at. So it's a nice way of being able to grab that data from that perspective, fix up anything that's in there, be a bit more proactive, as Anne said, and then probably would start fixing those issues so you don't get those support cases or that upset customer in the future. So it's a nice way of being a bit more proactive about it as well.
And the customers aren't getting undelivered calls. So
exactly.
Very, very important. All right. So that's the first tool. The second tool is the Microsoft Teams Anomaly Detector. Again, the names are fun. So same principle. It allows you to select between dates or a customer, and this will show you all the failed calls within Microsoft Teams. Now, why this is really important is that the Microsoft tenancy is not in the control of SASBOSS. So things that changes that are made in the Microsoft Teams tenancy can affect how the customer direct routing is managed in SASBOSS, and you can't always see that. So we want to show you those failed calls so that you can go back into Microsoft Teams tenancy and make the changes appropriately. Yep. So again, Mitch did a search there, found 2 calls, and they were not found in Microsoft Teams. So they're not registered correctly.
Yeah. So this could be the user was deleted inside Teams, and we haven't had that update inside SASBOSS. So SASBOSS still thinks we're a user and we're trying to send it. Could be someone's changed some routing policies, things like that. It could be someone's updated the user ID or something like that inside Teams. That's also broken in. So there's a few things that could cause this kind of situation, but it's a nice way of being able to grab that information around why those calls aren't being delivered and try and fix that. Once again, you can be a little bit more proactive about this side of things as well. Or when a customer does call up and they're a Teams user and they didn't receive a call, this could be a way of being able to troubleshoot where that issue occurred as well. So if it's on our side versus if it's got into the Teams ecosystem and Microsoft had a bad day or something like that, and the call wasn't delivered for whatever reason. So it's a nice way of being able to determine that a little bit more as well. One thing I will note is the username here is the username within SASBOSS. So
yes,
you can have different usernames between SASBOSS and inside Teams. If that is the case, this would be the SASBOSS user ID, not the Microsoft Teams user ID. So just something to be aware of.
yeah, exactly. So those are the two tools that are available now. There is a third tool that I do want to do a little spruiking for because I'm actually really excited about this.
I'm more excited about the third one. I'm not going to lie.
So this is the UCXL CDR Cradle-to-Grave Report. So basically it's high-level Cradle-to-Grave. It's based on the CDRs. It's based on the CLI of the call. So it will show you, again, same thing, dates or a customer, and it will show you all the calls that were made. You can click on that call and then it will show the call cradle to grave. So it will say where it started, where it went to, how long it spent there, the total time for the call. And so again, this is a record for you, but it's also a really important troubleshooting tool because the customer can call up and say, yep, my calls aren't going to the right place. When was the call, customer? Oh, about 11 a.m. this morning. So you might search between 10:30 and 11:30 because the customer might not remember well. You get all the calls within there. You can find the exact call. It'll show you exactly where it went. And you can say, oh, yes, it forward to your voicemail. And it went there because, and you can make the change. So you can have the conversation with the customer, you can have a really informed discussion, and you can solve the thing for the customer on the call. You don't have to put them on hold or say, I'll call you back, which is a great customer experience.
Nice way of being able to generate those files straight away as well. I know the iCall Suite platform does have Cradle-to-Grave reporting in there. The amount of times I've used that for a troubleshooting tool, even though it's really not what it's designed for, it's been way too many times. Probably every 3 or 4 months it pops up into something I'm working on. So having this built into SASBOSS, a bit more simpler and designed for more of a support perspective, not just every single call data across every single user within an organization, makes it a bit easier as well.
Yeah, that's another thing I sort of want to call out is these are really made for the engineering techs. There's no fluff around these tools. We're going to get the ones that are just really functional for you so that you can create great customer experiences.
Definitely. If there's something like this, so we have built this in a kind of modular way. As you can see, we've got 2 here. We're adding another one in the not too distant future as well. If there is something in there that you want from a troubleshooting support perspective that you think we could build into here, do reach out to your SE. More than happy to have that conversation, whether it's me or one of the other SEs to have that conversation with you. And then from there, we can feed that information back into the platform team and the engineering team around what they can build. No guarantees that it's going to be built. No guarantees that it's going to be done in a week versus 6 months kind of situation. But we can at least provide you that, give you that feedback around, yep, we'll listen to you, take on any idea is a good idea, especially when it comes to this kind of stuff, and go from there. So more than happy to have those discussions with anyone who's on the call and any partner going forward as well.
Yeah, and these tools are going to be built based on demand. So if we're seeing a lot of requests come through for this, we'll prioritize those sorts of tools.
Definitely.
All right, now we're going to move into some of the changes that happened around our knowledge base and PRC. So the new knowledge base, InfoBoss, went live last week as well. And given that it is a new knowledge base, it took over some of the things that were originally in PRC. So there are a number of changes that happened to the PRC. Number one is that we removed a bunch of the things. We removed knowledge base, we removed devices, and it's now called alerts on the left-hand side because what it does now is mostly around your alerts. So it's a quick way to find all the different notifications that we post into SASBOSS of what's going on, planned maintenance or, things that you need to be aware of, and you can quickly click alerts and you can see the full history. So if you've dismissed it in the SASBOSS banner across the top, you can come find them all here as a reference for you and click on there and there'll be additional information. I'll
also note that we do still have the status.access4.com website as well. So that is still there. All the alerts and maintenance and upcoming functionality is there as well. This is just, it was previously in PRC. We still did it in SASBOSS. It's still going to be here for the next little while as well. So both are still active, but status.access4 is still where you can grab this information as well, if that's what you're already looking at primarily for alerts and notifications for outages.
Yeah, that's it. And so we've the rest of the things being moved out. The other part of the PRC was products. Now that is in here still, and you can access it through clicking alerts. But if you go into the menu and go products, there we go, the product catalog. So if you would click that one, again, it takes you to what was the PRC, but directly open on the products one. So if whatever you're looking for, it's in the left-hand menu, you can find it, either the alerts, notifications, or the product catalog. It's still here and available to you, and still working the same. So all of the device services, all information still in there. So where did knowledge base and the resources
Exciting
go?
one.
All right, so that is now living in InfoBoss. So just there under the menu where the PRC was, clicking on it will open to the new page. And so this is the fantastic new experience, which I think when both of us started, we also wanted one of these things improved and updated. So
this has been a project that Ed and I have been working on in some form or another around updating our collateral, updating PRC, making sure the information in PRC was accurate. I think we've both been part of, I don't want to count how many meetings, but the early days in our careers in Access 4, those were discussions that we're having. So
that's right. And it's such a big project because we want to make sure that it's the right information for you, all of it's updated, accurate, up to date, in a really nice platform for a great experience. So the feedback that we mostly heard was around finding the right information, because customers a query or I'm trying to understand something, I need to be able to log in and find the information I'm looking for. And the search was reasonably difficult to find what you were looking for.
Yeah,
it was difficult to find what you're looking for. So now the search has more of an elastic search style. So it finds the most relevant information, not just purely on does it match the word that I'm put in there. So you could put Teams provisioning and it will find Microsoft Teams automated provisioning, the most relevant piece of information at the top. Now, it doesn't just search the title, it searches the content of the article. So if Mitch was to open that one up, it would have found if there was any other words that matched in here. It also searches embedded files. So if you had a PDF, it will search for those words in there. Also transcripts of embedded videos. So not only is it a much nicer UI and presentation of information, it's much easier to find what you're looking for, relevant information. Everything has been recategorized. So by product, by process you're trying to do. So it really is much easier to find what you're looking for. And there is fantastic navigation either by search or across the top there to find what you're looking for. So we are very interested to hear your feedback on InfoBoss. And if you are finding information you're looking for, is it working for you? We would love to hear everything about that.
Yep. I did have feedback last week when we launched this. This was launched on Tuesday last week, if I remember correctly. Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday. Went live Wednesday.
So Wednesday we launched this. I had and then we had our Melbourne Roadshow on the Thursday. One of the partners I spoke to at that event had logged into InfoBoss without realizing it was a new wiki that we had. Searched some information, was surprised that how easy it was to find something, and then it was a little bit off to what he was expecting. It didn't quite have the information he was asking for in the material. So he actually did scroll down here and put in feedback around this and gave feedback around the article. He then told me he was surprised about the fact that our learning development team reached out to him, asking him what information was missing and how they could improve the information that was there. So it's not just we've done a refresh of the PRC, moved some data across, changed some wording, things like that. This is still live, active. We have a team who's still working on this to keep it updated, everything like that. And if you do provide feedback, it does go to a team who will take your feedback on board. They may not get back to you same day. Straight after launch, it was a bit easier, but as feedback grows, it may take them a little bit more time. But we are still managing any feedback from partners around this stuff, around the side of things as well.
We've really overhauled the processes so that we can get your feedback easier through and processed faster, and heavy investment in our L&D team to keep this up to date and built with our product marketing team as well.
100%. One other thing I would note as well is when I jump into products, everything's here into those same three categories. If you've been to our road shows or you've had quotes from us recently, you probably would have seen the UC, CX, UX kind of tiers. if you came to our the interactive session beforehand, you would have heard me mention that see this coming around more and more within Access 4. It's also in our how we're organized our products into InfoBoss as well. So you will see it from inside here from that side of things.
Yeah. Well, that's it, everyone. Those are the updates we've had most recently.
All right.
We do have one question come through with the third new toolbox, CDR Cradle-to-Grave. Is it only for UC Excel, BroadWorks, UC Express? It is in the first instance, yes. So CDRs for UC Excel and UC Express are really different. And so the first version of this tool will just be UC Excel, yes. But thank you for your question.
Awesome.
And if anyone's having other questions, please feel free to send them through. Send me an email. Very happy to answer any of the changes about SASBOSS. But thank you for joining us. Thank you, Mitch, for joining me.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you at the next one, guys. And see you soon in New Zealand. All right. Bye.